Before milkshakes, there was an Irish dish bringing all the boys to the yard. Boxty. That'll make sense at the end. Though we're putting out this dish in honor of St. Paddy's Day coming up, this dish is more commonly served on St. Brigid's Day, or Imbolc, because that holiday celebrates butter, dairy, root vegetables. Why don't we just go ahead and get into the ingredient list? For this recipe, we're going to be using 200 grams of grated raw potatoes, 200 grams of leftover mashed potatoes. I'll be using my champ recipe from a previous video, 240 grams of all-purpose flour, 2.5 cups of whole milk, 7 grams of salt, ground white pepper, and a lot of butter for frying. Boxty, the original Irish spelling for this dish, is believed to come from either Bacchus, meaning bakehouse, or Erin Boxty, or Ron Boxty, meaning poorhouse bread. Immediately after grating your potatoes, place them in a lint-free dishcloth and squeeze them over a bowl. Try to get as much water out of your potatoes as possible before going on to the next step. Some people may want to use the starch that forms at the bottom of this liquid after 20 minutes to firm up their boxty, but we won't be needing that. In a large bowl, we're going to combine the champ, grated potato, flour, salt, and white pepper. Stir lightly to combine and then slowly pour your milk in and whisk to incorporate. Like a pancake batter, you're looking for a consistency here. So whisk in half a cup at a time and then look to see if you have a sticky mess, a thick batter, or a soft batter. I went somewhere on the thicker side, which was 1.5 cups of milk. But if you want a thinner pancake, go with more milk. Once the batter is mixed, let it rest for 30 minutes. Boxty is one of those dishes that your mama probably made the best, but that best could have been baked, fried, or boiled. You may have known of it as Rasp or Stampy, but all of these variations came out of the mid-northern region or provinces of Ireland. But as the dish spread, the variations on it have become endless. So it's really yours to make. Heat a non-stick or cast iron pan over medium heat. Now, the cooking time can change based on the starch in your potatoes, the amount of milk used, the color of the butterfly wings you last saw, so you'll want to first test this out by using a single boxty. To do that, take half a tablespoon of butter and place it in your pan in the spot that you want to cook your boxty. As the butter is melting, pour 1/4 cup of batter onto the melted butter. Let the batter cook on the first side for about 2 minutes and it will turn a nice golden brown color. Now flip the boxty and try not to move it after it lands or you'll shift your batter and look like a fool on YouTube. Let it cook for another 2 minutes and now your boxty will have formed a crust on both sides. You can now flip it a few times to get the outside golden and crispy like you want it. It may take up to 4 to 5 minutes per side. For me, it was about 3 to 4, but as I said, it may vary. Once done, set aside. Repeat with the rest of the batter and butter. I've seen some people suggest that this was a famine dish because it makes the food last, but I think they're conflating the famine with class struggles. See, first of all, this dish is thought to have been around at earliest 1700s. Some of the later versions of it go to the 1840s, but this was either too early for the famine or at least too recent to have really spread as far as it did. Secondly, this dish uses a lot of potatoes, which would have been the thing that was lacking. Chances are that this dish was probably more of someone trying to spread a nickel into a dollar and less about trying to survive a monocrop disappearing. Boxty come in all different sizes, and you can play around with the size you want. I experimented with creating a pancake from 1 cup of batter. Though it turns into a much larger pancake, the cooking technique is essentially the same. Now you could choose to serve your boxty hot, but it's actually better if you wait a day. So what we're gonna do is let this cool and then put it in the fridge. Boxty is said to be better the next day, reheated. And for a dish that has so much potato and dairy, this makes a lot of sense. Chemical reactions continue after the cooking process. And for dairy, this can mean the continued breakdown of lactose into glucose, meaning that it's going to get a little bit sweeter. And as for the potato starches, they originally start out in a crystalline form that when they're cooked turn into a gel-like substance. When they start to reform into that crystal when they cool, a process called retrogradation, they grab everything around them and pull them into that crystal structure, making the flavors more harmonious, homogenized. That is what's going to happen here in 2 stages. Our mashed potatoes and our Boxty are both going to have that retrogradation that's really going to pull together our flavors and take all that glucose and meld it together in one delicious bite the next day. To warm up our Boxty, we're going to heat a non-stick pan or cast iron over medium-low heat. Once ready, place your day-old Boxty in the pan and move it around a little bit. You probably won't need any additional butter, but if you do, feel free to add a small little scoosh of butter. Allow to warm up for 2 minutes per side, and then pile them high. Boxty on the griddle, Boxty on the pan. If you can't make a Boxty, you'll never find a man. Well, that's the old Irish saying about this dish. Let's see what kind of man I'm gonna get. Maybe I should have chosen a knife. Still works. Okay, I'll be honest with you. I tried everything at every stage. I tried the mashed potatoes, or the champ, amazing. I tried this the day it was made, and it was delicious, but the flavors were distinct. I could taste the mashed potatoes, and I could taste the grated potatoes, taste a little bit of the cream. But now they all kind of come together with the added chives kind of bringing out a bit of brightness. But otherwise, letting it sit that extra day really brought the flavors together. This is really, really great and showcases that sort of retrogradation that happens in the cooking process. Now, I added sour cream to the top of mine because, well, that's what I had, but you can add anything. They work pretty much like pancakes. You can add more butter if you need it. You can also add, a friend suggested lingonberries. What would you add? Go ahead and leave a comment down below. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps our growing channel. And as always, study at the dinner table. We'll catch you next time.